Hi guys, happy April 13th. I just came in from looking at the moon. It is 3:45 in the morning and I've been resting a lot, okay? And so I'm not really tired right now, but I was listening to some things and I felt very compelled to come to you and tell you guys some very raw information, okay? I want to be very transparent. I want to be very vulnerable with you guys. I want to tell you some lessons that I've learned, okay? And I don't have to do this. This is not for the people that have been casting judgment on me, because I could give two shits what you think. Let me just get that straight. I could give two shits what you think, okay? Matter of fact, I would go do something just to fucking prove a point if I had to, okay? But we're not going to do that. I'm going to keep myself under control. Told you I'd tame the beast. Guys, I'm a very, very passionate person. I'm a very physically affectionate person, okay? I've always been like that, okay? So when I was a teenager, when I was going through a lot of turmoil, what did I turn to, okay? Yeah, there was a lot of substances, but I've never been like a drug addict, okay? I've never been like addicted to any one drug. You know, I've done drugs here or there, when I've been having fun, and even alcohol. I've used alcohol at certain times, but it's this last stint was probably the longest I've gone. And even then, it was only in the evenings. I'm not saying that I wasn't abusing it. I definitely was. But there's a difference between somebody that's waking up first thing in the morning, cracking open a beer, drinking till they fucking, till they go to sleep versus somebody that's just drinking in the evenings. Now, I still had to work. I still had to do things, okay? Call it a functioning alcoholic, if you will. I don't give a fuck. Call it whatever you want. But what I did was, I had to distract myself from all the pain I was experiencing. And so, yeah, I definitely was a very promiscuous teenager. And you know what the funny thing is? My entire life, I've always been very honest about who I am and what I've been through. And I've never tried to hide anything. Matter of fact, there's even been times people are like, whoa, you've given off way too much information. And I call bullshit on that. Because you know what? I think it's amazing when people can open up about their traumas and be honest about it and like really express like the pain they felt. And shame on those that tried to shut me down. I was trying to express the pain I was going through. So you know what? Fine. So what did I do? I went and I was using my body as a way to get attention, my father had always objectified women. And, growing up around the construction business, you don't think I didn't know that every single fucking man that saw me, was looking at me in a sexual way? Always. Always. And, I know I'm beautiful externally. I'm way more beautiful internally. But that was how I expressed myself and I got attention and I got, I guess, validation. So when I went and I studied the Bible, obviously, it was like your body's sacred, you gotta, keep it to yourself. But that was still a part of myself that I loved, I enjoyed, right? And quite frankly, like, we are very, very deep, very sensual beings. When you're connecting with somebody on a mental, emotional, soul, physical level, that is powerful. Powerful. And I'm going to sit here and say most people have never really experienced that. They can say, oh yeah, I've had good sex. Yeah, sure, I've had good sex too. But I've also had powerful sex. And a lot of what I learned was in the last several years, I went on an exploration. And you know what? A lot of what I learned, you guys can judge me all you want, but I'm going to be bringing back information to you guys that is going to help potentially improve your love life and your sex life. Okay? Yeah, I went into the dark. I did, and I came out brighter on the other side. So judge me if you will. I had fun while I was doing it too. How about that? So anyways, when I married my ex-husband, I was so excited. I had had such a rough childhood, and, I was like, now I'm doing good. I'm living for God, and I married this man that I thought was just going to love me to pieces. And very quickly on, very shortly into our marriage, he shut down that portion. He was pretty much telling me that I was being too verbally affectionate with him. And it devastated me. And I was like, okay. And then about 3 years into our marriage, I was trying to be physically affectionate with him, not sexual, but physically affectionate with him. And he told me that it was too much. I literally was just sitting next to him on a couch. Wow. And then shortly after that was the first time I almost experienced physical abuse from him. And I left. I left in the middle of the fucking night. And I went and I stayed with people, and I would not speak to him again until we were sitting in front of our pastor. There were red flags. By the way, he didn't start putting his hands on me until about 14 years into the marriage, okay, guys? So it wasn't physical abuse the entire time. It wasn't. He was more of a mental manipulator. Because he was older than me, I think that he thought because he had more education than me and because he was older than me that he was smarter than me. Okay. That's what you want to think. That's okay. And that may very well have been the case at one point, or at least I let him believe it was. But towards the end of our marriage, it was his idea to get into the lifestyle. After that initial, after that happened in the beginning of our marriage, like, it shut me down sexually. Every person, male and female, wants to be adored. They want to be, they want to be taken care of. They want to feel safe. They want to feel protected. They want to feel admired. They want to feel, I didn't feel that way. I felt used. And I'm going to go ahead and leave out some details from my marriage. But I felt very used in all areas. And yes, even sexually, from my husband. So yes, if anybody out there says that they're feeling, used by their spouse, oh, you shouldn't feel used because it's your spouse. Bullshit. They can still take advantage of you as well. Ask me how I know. So I shut down sexually. I didn't stop, but it was a duty to me. It was not something that I enjoyed doing. Like I said, I poured all of my time and my physical and verbal affection into my children. They reap the benefit of that, and they still do. By the way, I still don't have communication with them, which is okay, because I've already been told it's all going to be okay. But, towards the end of our marriage, when he introduced us going into swinging, which his parents were swingers, and so he was aware of it. So when he brought it up, I was kind of shocked, because I was like, you really want to do that? But then I was like, hey, if we're going to do it together, why not? And I started experiencing, when other men would touch me, I enjoyed it more than I did my husband. And I took it to my husband. I talked to him about it. I wanted things to improve with us. I was still very, very set on my marriage working. I wanted things to work out with him. I tried to go and talk to him. And it just frustrated him more and more, because maybe it was because he was going to have to change. He didn't want to change. It was too much for him. I don't know. But it ended up turning into physical abuse. But I wasn't backing down at that point anymore. I was like, no, I'm starting to get what I want and what I'm enjoying, and I'm not letting it go. And if you're not going to give it to me, I'm sure as hell going to get it from somewhere else. And at least I had permission at that time. So, and even after I left Eric, after I opened up with a friend about the abuse and I left, that was still a side of myself that I was very much immersed in, but here's the thing. It was fun in the beginning, but then it got to the place where it was like, what am I really doing? Like, what is this? And I started realizing that unless I really connected with somebody mentally, emotionally, and physically, like a soul level, like that, I was wasting my time. I mean, might as well just use a vibrator if you're not going to have that, because it's unsatisfying. You know, like sex, if it's just a physical act, it's not fulfilling. It's just not. Okay. And then I got to the place where I was like, I only want to give this to one person. I don't want to be giving it to a bunch of people. I want to be able to fall asleep to somebody at night and wake up to the same person in the morning. I loved being a wife. I loved that. But you know what's funny? Like, I didn't even want Eric touching me when he did choose to touch me. Because I got to the place where the only time he would really touch me is when I felt like he wanted something from me. You know, and it, like, it's not a good feeling. So, yeah, I had come out on the other side of that, and it was a process, you know. I still I've definitely changed my ideas about how I view sex, even for single people. Like, I don't think it's as I don't carry as strict as a position as they do in the church, you know. But I feel like we need to educate people on how to share themselves and what to look for and what they really want versus what the world is showing us, because obviously the world is showing us more of a lust, you know, image of what it is, you know. And we have to learn how to, you know. Oh, there's so much there, but I've already gone almost 12 minutes now. I wanted to share that because if there's somebody out there that's struggling with this or that's experiencing something similar, remember, I am brutally honest. I'm very, very raw. And a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she said that. See, here's the thing. Everybody's fucking thinking it. I'm just the only one that's brave enough, courageous enough to fucking put it out there. And I'm going to, because I don't care what anyone thinks. Because I know that my story is going to change the lives of people and make them better. Make them more like how, make them seek God, or make them make the changes in their life that are going to make them, you know, grow and improve. So yeah, I'm going to use my rawness. I'm going to put my shit out there, even the things that I did wrong, okay? As I have already. I don't think that's going to be the last time, because these are things that I've had to learn. There was even a lesson the other day where God goes, Tara, I told you. I was like, I know, God. I'm just trying to, I'm not used to this whole trusting you with everything stuff. So anyways, I love you guys. And I'm here for you. And I'm going to keep saying that. Times are going to get tough. Times are going to get dark, guys. And I'm going to be here for you, okay?